Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Talk It Off, the podcast with an identity crisis. I am your host, Del Preston, urging you to be skeptical, not paranoid, and to understand the difference. Here we talk about science, technology, politics, art, psychology, education, and even the paranormal and unexplained. You might have noticed a change in sound and format already in this episode. That is because, due to copyright issues, I will no longer be able to feature new music on this podcast. The music portion of the show will be replaced with a new segment that represents the arts in great variety. While I am extremely disappointed I will not be able to share actual music, I am dedicated to still representing the art community in a fun and explorative way. On today's show, we talk about pyramids at the South Pole, fatal blunders in homeopathy, bathtub dinners, crazy conspiracy theories, and news highlights. But right now, it's time for the fun fact of the day. Here is today's fact. In Slovakia, Christmas dinner starts with the bathtub and not the oven. That is because in Slovakia and surrounding countries, people keep carp fish alive in their bathtub as pets for several days prior to eating them for Christmas dinner. This, in theory, cleanses the fish's digestive system, as carp are bottom feeders and live mostly on waste. The idea that living in clean bathtub water for a few days to cleanse the fish makes sense, but you would need a lot longer than a few days to fully cleanse the system, according to fishery experts. But I suppose it introduces your children to the reality of death, as often children name them and help to take care of them. Interesting tradition. Okay, that was fun fact. It's time now for headlines. First up on headlines, all this water and nothing to drink. Heavy rainfall over the weekend left nearly 5 million people without drinking water in Santiago, Chile. The flooding has caused runoff and debris flows into the Maipo River, which is the main water supply for the capital city. The contamination forced authorities to cut off access to the city water supply to the public. A recent drought has left the land in the area hardened and unable to absorb the heavy rains, causing the floods. So far, 3 lives have been claimed by the disaster, and another 19 people are still missing. From North Korea with love. The South Korean intelligence agency, NIS, says 5 North Korean officials have been executed by anti-aircraft guns for allegedly making false reports to its leader, Kim Jong-un. The deputy minister-level officials had worked under the recently fired State Secretary Chief Kim Wong-hung. Hung himself has been replaced into a house arrest situation. The state security chief and his officials basically serve as the intelligence provider for North Korea. South Korean intelligence have said there will likely be more executions carried out as the investigation continues. Anti-aircraft guns. Definitely a statement. The Pentagon's plan for ISIS is in. The Pentagon has turned in its plan to President Trump and has already begun following through. The timeline of the plan hopes to accomplish almost complete annihilation of ISIS in 10 months' time. It will involve sending U.S. artillery into Syria and putting U.S. spotters on the front lines to spot ISIS targets, something already being done in Iraq. The threat of ISIS's international reach is a worry, however. The U.S. government estimated between 100 and 120 countries supplied ISIS with around 45,000 fighters in Syria and Iraq alone. Next up, unemployment is bittersweet. The Hershey Company announced it will be cutting its global workforce by about 15%. That will translate into about 2,700 jobs lost. Despite that, Hershey has been beating Wall Street estimates with its recent earnings reports, and its stock is up 4.8% so far in 2017. The company says it's taking cost-cutting measures in order to continue driving net sales and profit. The majority of the cuts will come from hourly wage employees. Next on headlines, fighting ISIS with pornography. No, that is not just a funny headline. That's actually happening. A hacker who goes by the name of Wachula Ghost says he's hacked over 250 Twitter accounts associated with ISIS members and replaced the content with pornography and gay pride messages. He is just one of a network of hackers that aim to pester ISIS through their social media accounts. He claims after obtaining the needed information, he can hack into a Twitter account in less than 60 seconds. He acknowledges that other Muslims are most likely offended by this, but that it is not his intention to do so. After an account is hacked, all of the personal information for the account as well as the IP address used is posted publicly. Foreign governments have even urged the group to keep doing this because they use the information posted to help combat the organization. The hackers claim that if social media organizations like Facebook and Twitter did their jobs and made it more difficult for ISIS members to join social media communities, what they do wouldn't be possible. They hope to continue annoying ISIS and inspiring social media companies to do a better job keeping their community safe. Well, that wraps it up for headlines. Next up, a segment I call Pseudoscience. Today on Pseudoscience, Homeopathic Homicide. You can't handle the tooth. In today's world, we are surrounded by so many health products and remedies at the pharmacy that it can be a tad confusing. Mostly because the vast majority of us do not understand how it works in any kind of real detail. But ignorance isn't always bliss, and sometimes that lack of understanding can lead us into harm's way. If any of you are parents, then you know what a painful experience teething can be for your toddler. It can be hard to listen to your little one's cries of agony and send you into a panic, desperately looking for something to soothe your child and to help them through this process. But when you get to the pharmacy, you are given several different options. Most of us will pick the product that we know works from experience or by reputation. But some of us, in our newly heightened sense of protection as parents, might want to go with the natural homeopathic product because it sounds safer, as the ingredients are all natural. And besides, it's sold right next to all the other options. But what you probably do not know is that homeopathic remedies are not obligated to undergo studies or tests to prove their safety or effectiveness. They are not even required to provide evidence to support their claims as factual, but for some reason are allowed to sell their products right next to those that are. The FDA recently released data collected over a 10-year period from 2006 to 2016 on one homeopathic product in particular that claims to ease teething pains for toddlers. The company that sells it? Highland, a 114-year-old Los Angeles-based private company. The FDA collected reports of adverse effects in more than 370 children who had used Highland's homeopathic teething tablets, or gel, a similar product that is applied directly to babies' gums. Agency records show 8 of those cases in which babies were reported to have died shortly after taking Highland's products. Though the FDA says the question of whether those products caused the death is still under review. Parents reported that after using Highland's products, their children developed dilated pupils, stopped breathing, had seizures, in some cases ongoing, lost consciousness, and even died. One physician wrote a handwritten letter directly to the company in 2011 after his patient, a 5-month-old toddler, was unresponsive for 45 minutes after taking its teething tablets. He writes, "I am sure this was not an allergic reaction. I would like you to report it. Find a contact at the FDA so we can start an investigation and pull this dangerous, unregulated product from the shelves." Behind each of the FDA case numbers are angry and in some cases heartbroken parents. After 4 years of reports, the FDA pushed Highland to reformulate its remedies in 2010. In the 7 years since then, a steady stream of reports of adverse events have persisted that are tied to Hyland's homeopathic teething products. Very recently, the FTC, that's the Federal Trade Commission, has required homeopathy companies to include language on their packaging that their products are not scientifically proven to work. Despite the abundance of information reported, the FDA has remained mostly non-confrontational on the matter, and companies like Hyland remain allowed to sell their products and make unsubstantiated claims. Now, this does not mean nature does not provide us with foods and minerals that are not helpful to us. In fact, there is an abundance of natural items that have positive effects on your health. But remember that many poisons and harmful substances occur naturally as well. In a perfect world, everything you buy in the pharmacy would work and the companies that sell it would be held accountable. But that is not the world we live in. So make sure what you are taking and what you give your children is proven to be safe. Next up on Talk It Off, Sixth Sense. And today on Sixth Sense, South Pole Pyramids. Are there ancient or even alien structures on the frozen continent of Antarctica? Did Nazi Germany discover alien technology which it used to aid its war efforts? Yeah, probably not. But there has been lots of talk about Antarctica in recent months, and conspiracy theorists have had a field day with it. I am going to give you a brief overview of those theories and also fill you in on what we do know to be factual. In November 2016, Google Earth photos of the South Pole revealed pyramid-shaped structures poking through the snow that resembled a frozen Egypt. The pictures show one very large pyramid shape with two smaller pyramid shapes catty-cornered to one another in a diagonal line. Again, the overall appearance is strikingly similar to the Egyptian pyramids. The pictures are extremely thought-provoking, and no matter who you are, will raise suspicions, or at the very least, open your eyes a little wider in awe. The sight is beautiful. The pictures alone would be enough to incite the more paranoid into public speculation, but the pictures came at an interesting time, as Antarctica has been and would be visited by its most important government, religious, and celebrity to ever visit the continent. Months before, Patriarch Kirill III, a Christian bishop, visited to bless the land. John Kerry also visited on Election Day as part of his lifelong efforts towards conservation and climate change efforts. Buzz Aldrin visited as a tourist and high-profile explorer. Shortly after the pictures were circulated, a fake tweet from Buzz Aldrin made its way into bogus news sites and YouTube channels. The tweet was a picture of the South Pole pyramid shape with the caption, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself." The tweet had been supposedly deleted minutes after it was posted, but not before a screenshot was supposedly taken and posted by a conspiracy theorist. Now, this tweet is an obvious fake. The caption and poster info is in the wrong place, as well as the statistic information that accompanies all tweets was missing entirely. The more unfortunate real story about Buzz Aldrin's Antarctic visit would be the former astronaut suffering a heart attack and being immediately evacuated to a hospital. But other conspiracy theorists still claim that the pyramid is alien in origin and the reason for Antarctica's sudden popularity. They speculate urgent new discoveries have been made at a known alien base near the site. This goes all the way back to World War II. In 1937 and 1938, the most extensive Antarctic expedition for the time took place, carried out by Nazi Germany. To this day, not much is known about the reason for the expedition or what was discovered by the team. As with most things the Nazis did, it remains mostly a mystery. This makes it very easy for people to tie it into their own narrative, using it to drive claims of otherworldly involvement. Aliens are not the only conspiracy tied to the pyramid. Believers in the hollow earth theory claim the location is near a gigantic hole that serves as an entrance into the subterranean world. Inside, an ancient race of people who predate humanity thrived, or still thrive, depending on who you ask, for thousands of years. Others simply believe that Antarctica was once home to an ancient civilization of humans that built the pyramid. So what do we know about Antarctica's past, and what has lived there? In 2009, scientists discovered pollen suggesting in its past the average temperature was around 20 degrees Celsius, or 68 degrees Fahrenheit. In 2012, scientists discovered 32 species of bacteria in Lake Vide, offering more proof that its ancient climate was vastly different than today. If we travel back 100 million years ago, the continent was likely covered in lush rainforest and would resemble modern-day New Zealand. But 100 million years is a long time ago, and an ancient civilization there would predate any known ancient civilizations by pretty much 100 million years. Keep in mind, 100 million years ago, the world was inhabited by dinosaurs, and humans weren't even a twinkle in evolution's eye. Where did the pyramid come from? The pyramids are actually mountain peaks poking through deep snow. The peaks belong to the Ellsworth Mountains in an area called Heritage Range. While the mountain is unnamed, the area is well known by geologists and boasts a great collection of some of the oldest known fossils found in similar conditions. This is not undiscovered territory or even an undiscovered mountain. Many scientists and tourists have seen, touched, and had their picture taken in front of this mountain. They all claim that it is simply rock. Pyramid shapes are common for mountain peaks to have. However, I researched many other naturally occurring pyramid shapes around the world, and the South Pole Pyramid is by far the closest thing to a perfect shape that currently exists, in my opinion, especially for its size. Nature doesn't like perfection or symmetry, and erosion doesn't like straight lines, which makes these mountain peaks even more remarkable. Not as an alien base or entrance to the underworld, but as a rare feature of the wild, untamed, last remaining terrestrial frontier. What we know about Antarctica's future is grim. Scientists say the West Antarctic ice shelf is disintegrating and being melted from the bottom up by warm seawater flow. If the sheet is lost, it will result in sea levels rising by 10 feet very quickly, devastating coastal cities worldwide. This is likely the real reason for the sudden global attention Antarctica has been receiving, and rightfully so. Whether or not you believe in climate change, or for whatever reason you believe it to be happening, the ice is surely disappearing in Antarctica. So, there you have it, the South Pole Pyramid. It was certainly an interesting story for this edition of Sixth Sense. This also brings us to the end of this episode of Talk It Off. I have been your host, Del Preston. I hope you have enjoyed the information contained in this episode, and if you wish to support Talk It Off, please visit us on Facebook, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Give us a like, give us a share. If you have questions about the material or the show, drop us a line to talkitoff@yahoo.com, and we'll see you next time. All music contained in this podcast comes to you courtesy of bensound.com and Kevin MacLeod at competech.com. Both licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license.